hope you're doing well today. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm Olivia S. Benson. I'm the author of a couple of books. The first one is Answers from Within, Answers to Work-Life Issues in the Age of Spiritual Evolution. And the second one is For the Love of My Father, a spiritual guide for women healing from the absence of a father in the age of spiritual evolution. Both books are available on Amazon. Right now we're discussing, and have been for a while, discussing For the Love of My Father, which is essentially about healing daddy issues created by the absence of a father in our lives, or having a difficult relationship with our fathers. Based on my life experiences, I eventually understood that for me, the only way that I could heal this issue in my life was to come into a greater spiritual understanding of life on the planet. Meaning, I had to get to know God, not about God, but to know God. So if you're a regular viewer, welcome back. And as always, I encourage you to not only watch this video, but check out the other ones. And if you like them and find them helpful, please give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, and tell your friends and family about it. Also, please check out my website, oliviasbenson.com. There are many other things that I have written, and also we have products. My Facebook page is author Olivia S. Benson, and my Instagram and Twitter are also, well, not also, but my Instagram and Twitter are Olivia S. Benson. And if you look at everything that I've got, you'll see all about, my work. You'll see my work. So obviously, if you're here, you probably have or have had daddy issues in your life and are probably looking for answers. Or maybe you know someone who does. I was in this place for the majority of my life. And I want to say this right up front. The things that we talk about here on the channel at this point are very challenging things. And the things that are required basically to heal, because this is what it's all about, healing this issue, they're super, super challenging things to do. Nowhere, I don't even know if the word easy, except to say that it's not easy, is mentioned in the book, which, by the way, is For the Love of My Father, which is available on Amazon, or in any of the discussions. So easy is not it. Everything is challenging. It will take work, and in many cases, and in most cases, it will take time. So I can only reaffirm and confirm that the only way I was able to get through all of this was by leaning and getting to know, and by establishing a connection with God. And in the book, I spend a good amount of time talking about the tools and the process. And I think, aside from talking about how difficult it is, the whole situation is being, in quotations, fatherless, or having issues with your dad. I mean, we spent so far a good amount of time talking about the issues and a lot of different things. But the most important thing, once you've understood and you've accepted that this is the challenge that you have in your life, is how is healing going to come? And so there's probably a whole chapter. Again, the book is For the Love of My Father, and it's available on Amazon. And there's probably a whole chapter about the tools that I used that over the years that were super, super helpful to me. And one of the things that I want to say to you is that, you've got to want this. And it's like anything else in life. I got to the point where I had so much turmoil, so much trauma, so much pain, so much suffering, where more than anything else, I wanted to be whole. It doesn't have to be that way. I mean, you can decide to work on yourself before you have so much pain. It doesn't have to be that you wait till the worst moment. That was just my case. And usually I say to people, for whatever trauma and challenge you think you've had, I guarantee there's someone who has had more and who has had worse. So in my case, it just got to the point where life was such a quagmire, just, difficult to understand, always wondering why things the way they were. And so then I absolutely had to decide that I was going to do something about it. And in the process, I learned it wasn't like a snap and everything was going to be done. It was going to be a process. And if you've seen the other videos, I talk a lot about forgiveness. And even one of the posts that I made this week, it basically says, look, forgiveness happens at levels. You could forgive at this level, or this level, meaning you can go deeper and deeper. And that's just one side of it. Because once you release, every release requires a replacement. And then there's transformation going on. And then there's reprogramming going on. So there are many, many, many levels involved. But the most important thing is that you have to have that strong desire to change your life. And in my case, you have the belief that I had the belief that it was possible and that my life could be 1,000,000% better if I addressed these issues and became as whole as I possibly could. And fortunately for me, I was able to go through the steps and get to a place where I can say, I truly forgave my dad and have nothing but understanding and compassion for him and his life. And that ability and the ability to do that freed me as well. So today I want to look at the post, one of the posts, I think it was Monday's post that I made on Instagram and Facebook. And it's a quote from my book, which is on my book is page 75, quoting to Catherine Ponder's book, The Dynamic Laws of Prosperity. Now, before I get into it, I want to point out a few things. As you can tell, the book is old. It is also well used. I mean, I have highlighted, I have post-its on it, I have places where I have written in the book. In other words, this is a book that I used and studied in detail. I have even this page where I marked out in red certain things. And I point this out to you to remind you that it is a work. It is something that requires you to invest time to understand the principles, to understand the teachings and what have you. It's not going to jump up off the pages and into your mind and heart. And the interesting thing about it is that you can read it, you can study it, and sometimes you can intellectually understand it, but it's a different thing to really appropriate it in your heart and in your soul. And so there are, again, multiple steps involved. So the book is The Dynamic Laws of Prayer. Catherine Ponder wrote a series of books. I think there's the Dynamic Laws of Prosperity, all kinds of, I think there were at least 6 books that she wrote. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but I will say it's Catherine Ponder, it's the Dynamic Laws of Prayer that I specifically address in that quote. And so I, till this day, affirm this quote often. It says, I dare to believe that all things have worked together for good in my life. I dare to believe that all things are now working together for good in my life. I dare to believe that all things shall work together for good in my life. Now, I find those words, even as I say them, as often as I do, I find that they have an impact on my body. I can feel it. I couldn't say it's kind of like, like getting goosebumps, but there's something that happens when I dare to say these things. And all of it is based on my spiritual belief. Essentially, you dare to believe because you have faith in God. That's the backdrop. If you read what comes right before it, again, it's page 152 of Catherine Ponder's book, The Dynamic Laws of Prosperity. And it's based on the fact that you dare because you have belief, because you know God. Now, this is a big ask in terms of the affirmation, because it says, I dare to believe that all things have worked together for good in my life. Wow. All things. Not some things, maybe the things that I liked, maybe the things that were good for me. No, it says, I dare to believe that all things have worked together for good in my life. And again, a big ask. What about us that here we are talking about how to heal from the absence of a father or a bad relationship with our father? What about us? Do we really dare to believe that everything that has happened in our lives has worked together for good in your life, or in our lives, or in my life? Well, eventually, in the beginning, I was not a happy camper. I was not thrilled. I didn't think it was that, I didn't think that at all. I was not happy. I wanted to know why me, and a number of different things that, we talk about here on the channel. But eventually, after process and getting to know God, I came to trust that for whatever reason things went the way that they did, it has worked out for my ultimate good. And I believe that because I have faith and belief in God and God's order, even though it's not pretty. And listen, there's some pretty ugly things that happen in the world, and it's not just, it's not going to roll off the tip of your tongue to say, I dare to believe that all things have worked together for good in my life. So this is something that we would have to really work through. The next one is the thing, it goes in three parts: past, present, and future. The next one says, I dare to believe that everything that's happening right now is for good in my life. Again, a big ask, because so many of us are going through so many things right now. How could we dare to say, I accept that it's for good? Only one way. Only if you get to know God, you understand the nature of the universe, and you know that God's ultimate purpose for us is always good. It's not always pretty, it's not always easy, but at the end of the road, it's for our ultimate good. And then finally, she goes into the future. I dare to believe that all things will work together in the future for my good. Meaning that now we have an awareness that took us from the past into the present moment. And as we look forward into the future, we trust that God has absolutely, positively intent for our good. Now, there's nothing snapping and making these things happen. Obviously, you have to align yourself vibrationally, energy-wise, with all of this for it to really, really work. But for me, this was a super, super powerful affirmation, which I've kept with me for years. Obviously, the book is old, the book is marked, the book is studied, and I'd like you to consider taking a look at that book, The Dynamic Laws of Prayer by Catherine Ponder. Obviously, my book is For the Love of My Father, and it's available on Amazon. I'm Olivia S. Benson. Please follow me on YouTube here. If you like this video, if it's helped you in any way, please give me a like, please leave a comment, and also please follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Olivia S. Benson, author Olivia S. Benson on Facebook, and Olivia S. Benson on Instagram. Also, again, my website is oliviasbenson.com. We have products available there and other things that I have written. So thank you for stopping by, and remember to dare to believe in God. Take care.